السلام عليكم. Can you hear me?
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. جي
Okay. Can start. بسم الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ثم إذا تعارض دليلان عند المجتهد فإن كان التعارض بين روايتين يميل إلى السنة. So then if two
أعوذ بالله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم. Once again, first I apologize for the late start. خير. So we are discussing ijma, and we previously mentioned what are the responsibilities and the duties of the, or rather we discussed what is ijma and the types of ijma. Now we're discussing the responsibilities of the mujtahid. Okay, so we said that as long as there is proof from the Quran and the Sunnah, we can't go towards qiyas, Quran, Sunnah, and ijma. The question now arises, okay, what if they outwardly, I'll discuss more of that when we come to qiyas. What if outwardly, apparently there's a contradiction between two proofs, either two Quranic ayat or two hadith and so forth. For example, in one hadith, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, a person came to ask him that when I'm fasting, may I kiss my wife? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said yes. And on the other hand, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, another person came to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked for the same question. He said no. So that seems like an apparent contradiction. That for the same question, two different answers, two opposing answers. When the ulama, the fuqaha, the mujtahidun looked into it, they came to this conclusion that no, what happened was that the first person was an elderly person. So that's why Nabi Sallallahu gave permission, because there's no khawf of fitna. There's no fear of him going beyond beyond that, going into breaking his fast. Whereas the second person was a very youngish person. So they obviously, because now he's still got a bit of wuma and vigor in him, there is a possibility of him ending up breaking his fast, intentionally so. So this outward contradiction is solved in this way. So that's what we're discussing now, that if there's an outward contradiction, otherwise there's no real contradiction. If it's an outward contradiction, what must the mujtahid do? So what he's saying, for you to read from?
ثم إذا تعارض دليلان عند المجتهد.
Translate.
So then if two proofs contradict each other, according to the mujtahidin, then the contradiction is between the verse, then one will resort to the hadith. If it's between two verses or two hadith, then one will resort to the sunnah.
So if there's a contradiction between two ayat, apparently, again I'm saying, but otherwise in reality there isn't, but then we will resort to the sunnah, because the sunnah came to explain the Quran. So obviously in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would give us an explanation as to what's the application of the one ayat and what's the application of the other ayat. So in this way, that outward contradiction is resolved to the hadith.
وإن كان بين السنتين يميل إلى آثار الصحابة رضي الله تعالى عنهم والقياس الصحيح. ثم إذا تعارض القياسان عند المجتهد يتحرى ويعمل بأحدهما لأنه ليس دون القياس دليل شرعي يصار إليه.
So then if between the two sunnah, means between two ahadith, is an outward contradiction, but then he will go towards the athar, meaning the reports of the Sahaba, that how did they act with regards to this particular masala? What did they practice upon? What is their practice? Because the Sahaba were the first students, they were the first audience of Nabi. They saw Quran being revealed, they saw the context, they experienced the reasons behind the revelation, and so on and so forth. So obviously they would know better. So we go to the Sahaba to see that what was their practice. And then you can also refer to Qiyas al-Sahih. correct, authentic qiyas. We're saying correct qiyas because that will come in the next chapter. Because there is also an incorrect way of making qiyas. A person can err in his qiyas, so obviously he has to use qiyas that is according to the usul and the principles of qiyas. Then he's saying, ثم إذا تعارض القياسان إن مجتهد. So he can't find anything in the Quran, Sunnah, and neither in the Athar of the Sahaba. He's got a qiyas. But now the qiyas is telling him, okay, could be this, but it could be that also, A and B. So if he can't make up his mind between two different qiyases, because it could go either way, looking at the various proofs. If the qiyas is contradictory in his mind, and then what must he do? Yataharra. Then he must apply his mind and see that which one of the two seems closer or is more supported by the proofs, more close to the Quran and Sunnah, or more supported by proofs. وَيَعْمَلُ بِأَحَدِهِمَا, and he will act on either one of those two. Each either one is more strongly supported. Why? لأنه ليس دون القياس دليل شرعي, because there is no other شرعي دليل after qiyas that he can revert to, that he can refer to. But qiyas is the last step. So therefore, if the qiyas also is showing up a contradiction, there is nothing else further than that. He must apply his mind and apply one of those two qiyases. وعلى هذا قلنا. So based upon this, we will say, based upon this principle, we will say, إذا كان مع المسافر إناء طاهر. Remember, like you did before, he showed you from the fiqh that how this principle plays out in fiqh as well. But if a musafir has two containers, tahirun and najisun, one is definitely pure, the water in it, and the other one is definitely impure. It got mixed up. He doesn't know which one is the pure one and which one is the clean one. They're both the same type of container, same look, same water, everything. And he can't remember now which one is the clean one and which one is the dirty one. لا يتحرى بينهما بل يتيمم. He will not apply his reasoning, but rather he will leave the water for some other purpose, and he will make tayammum for wudu. He's going to use it for wudu and for salah. He must make tayammum. He can't use the water. وَلَوْ كَانَ مَعَهُ ثَوْبَانَ. On the other hand, if he has two pairs of clothing, one is tahir, the other is najis. Again, but again, he got confused, got mixed up, he's not sure which is which. يَتَحَرَّى بَيْنَهُمَا. In this case, he will exert his mind, apply his mind to find out, to see maybe from signs, outward signs, whatever, smell, whatever, which one seems to be the clean one, and which one might be the dirty one. Why this difference in the masala? لأن للماء بدل, because water does have a substitute. Or turab, and that substitute is sand. Meaning that if we can't use water, we have something else to refer to, which is tayammum. وَلَيْسَ لِلثَّوْبِ بَدَلٌ يُصَارُ إِلَيْهِ. But the clothing doesn't have any badal, doesn't have any further option, doesn't have any substitute that we can refer to. In the same way, because Quran and Sunnah, Quran has a substitute if there's an outward confusion, which is a Sunnah, and the Sunnah is the Athar of Sahaba, and the Sahaba has qiyas. After the Sahaba is qiyas, but beyond qiyas is nothing. So you have to just use a qiyas. So in the same way, because water has a substitute that we can revert to, we will revert to the substitute. But because clothing doesn't have a substitute, so therefore, you will have to make qiyas and use one of the clothing. فثبت بهذا أن الأمل بالرأي إنما يكون إن إدامة دليل سواه. So what is established in this masala is that to practice upon your rai or ijtihad will only be applicable when there is no other proof beside it. شرعا, no other شرعي proof beside it. ثم إذا تحرى وتأكد تحريه بالعمل لا ينتقد ذلك بمجرد التحري. Now we're taking one step further, taking the same masala one step further. That once you have applied your tahari, once you have applied your ijtihad, and you chose one of the two qiyases, then, and it becomes emphasized, becomes supported by action. So between the two qiyases, for example, you applied your mind and now you acted upon one. So the second, or the qiyas that you chose, has become established or further supported by action. So لا ينتكس ذلك بمجرد التحري. Now you can't break that qiyas which you acted upon by a doubt afterwards or by tahari afterwards. So you know what? Maybe the second qiyas might also be correct. You can't do that. Once you practice on the one, you have to now stick to that one. وبيان, the explanation of this is what? فيما إذا تحار بين الثوبين, that if you came to a decision with regards to two clothes, this one is a clean one. وصلى الظهر بأحدهما, and now you emphasize supported that tahari by performing dhuhr salah, for example, in that pair which you thought was clean, which you made tahari was clean. ثم وقع تحري إن الأصل على الثوب الآخر لا يجوز له أن يصلي الأصل بالآخر. But then his tahari changed at the time of Asr. No, maybe it was the other pair of clothing. It's not permissible for him to perform Asr Salah in a second pair of clothing. He must continue and persist with its first pair, because its first pair now has gained strength to Amal. That Amal, which was what? Making Salah in that clothes, the Dhuhr Salah in that clothing. Understood?
Sure.
لأن الأول تأكد بالعمل, because the first pair of clothing, the opinion on that has become established by acting upon it. فلا يبطل بمجرد التحري. It will now not become invalid just because you change your mind. وهذا بخلاف, this is contrary to the masala way. ما إذا تحرى في القبلة. So a person might raise an objection, but you allow that when it comes to Qibla. If a person is in a place where he faces Qibla after Tahari in a particular direction, and after his Tahari change, he can change his Qibla direction to be permissible. So why the difference there? How come that masala doesn't fall under the category of these masail? I think that's different. Why? بخلاف ما إذا تحرك في القبلة ثم تبدل رأيه وكتحري على جهة أخرى توجه إليه. So it's contrary to the masala where he applied ijtihad, was in a place where he couldn't find any clue as to which way is Qibla, nobody to tell him either. Where he applied his mind and he faced Qibla for Dhuhr Salah, for example. ثم تبدل رأيه, then his right changed for Asr. ووقع تحري على جهة أخرى, and it occurred his mind or his thought went to a different direction for the Asr Salah, for example. It is permissible for him now to face direction in that second direction. Why? لأن القبلة مما يحتمل الانتقال, because he's saying that there is a substitute, or rather there is in the Sharia we find that there is a precedent, there is an example in the Sharia where the Qibla can change, and you can change with the Qibla. When the Sahaba changed from Baytul Muqaddas to the Kaaba, they did so while they were in Salah. So because we have this precedent in the Sharia, where the Qibla changed from one direction to another direction, it is permissible for us then to say, if your one tahari contradicts your previous tahari with regards to the Qibla, you can change direction, not a problem. فأمكن النقل الحكم بمنزلة النسخ النص. So in this case, yeah, it is permissible for him to change the direction of the hukam in the same way as the Sharia hukam was abrogated when the Sahaba changed the Qibla direction from Baytul Muqaddas to the Kaaba Sharif in Medina. هذا مثل الجامع الكبير في تكبيرات العيدين. This masala will also apply according to the Jami' al-Kabir of Imam Muhammad rahmatullahi to the takbirat of Eid. وتبدل رأي الإيد كما عرف, and his right changes with regards to the takbir of Eid as is known. What is this masala? As you know, we make 6 extra takbirs, the Shawafi make 12, I think it is, or something like that. Yeah, 12, 7, and 5. So if the person's right and his opinion was that according to the hadith, it is 6 extra takbirs in the Eid Salah. But while he was reading Eid Salah, his mind changed, and no, maybe the dalil for the 12 is stronger. And in the Salah, he changes it to 12. And this will be permissible. Why? Because there is a precedent for it. There is dalil for that. You follow?
What is the dalil for this, Maha?
That the Sahaba did that as well. So the Shawafi also, we've chosen the hadith of Ibn Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, that is only 6 extra takbirs, and they followed, I think it's Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu. of 12 takbirs.
Okay.
And we find that Imam Muhammad Rahmatullah, he did this. Imam Muhammad Rahmatullah, he did this when he was once in a Shafi place. He made the takbir according to the Shawafi, and he said that we, in this case, we would act upon our brother's opinion in this particular masala. Because there is a precedent from our Ai themselves in this regard, so therefore, it's permissible for a person to do that as well. Understood?
Okay.
Any questions?
Not at the moment.
Okay, so that brings an end to Ijma and whatever is related to it. Now we're going to the fourth and the last Usool, or the fourth and the last source of Sharia, which is Qiyas. That's also one of the longest chapters. So the Bahth al-Alfaz and Bahth al-Qiyas. These are the two longest chapters in Usool al-Fiqh. That's why some ulama say if you understand the first chapter with regards to the Alfaz, you understand Qiyas, then you know Usool al-Fiqh. Allah alam. Gee, sure. Maaf once again for the delay. Inshallah, hopefully Thursday we won't have an issue, inshallah. And tomorrow, inshallah, we won't have a problem, inshallah. سبحان الله بحمده سبحانك الله بحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك